This is Eric Ford, your writer, director, photographer, and editor. And I am demonstrating my workflow, my editing workflow for Star Trek Borough on the Edge of Forever. So we begin the process, and we have a big mess. So we have all these video clips and sound files, and it just looks like a whole bunch of crap. The first step is to sort through the clips and find out what is good. Before I do any of that, I'm going to create a folder called Selections, and everything that we're going to keep is going to go in this folder. Everything else is going to remain in the raw footage folder. I have a different footage folder for each day that we shot. So this is 9:15. We're going to start at the beginning of the film with the opening scene, which was one of the last scenes we shot. Okay, so the first clip, we have file number 1907. This is the opening shot. Other than the opening that we're going to create in post-processing, this is the first establishing shot. The guys, we didn't record sound for this, so it's just the guys. They start out and they're walking into the scene. So because there's no sound, I can just pop that right into the selections folder. It's ready to go. So the next important shot is, and this one does have sound, is the scene of the bike messenger coming out of the portal and intercepting Bones. Right. So the first thing we do is we look at every take that we did of this shot. So we
Crashing into Bones, take one.
We have all these samples.
If they find me with it, I'm dead.
So that's the first shot we took of it. And we took it again here. So we have two different files. Between these two files, I can choose which one has the best take, and that depends on a lot of factors. It depends on the sharpness, the sound, the framing, of course, the actors' performances, which usually takes precedence. When I'm editing, I like to get the best performance, more than I care about the technical quality. So I've watched these two clips now, and I've decided what I prefer. So to show you what I'm looking at, so we have the two clips, 1909 and 1910. So first one is 1909.
Action. Happy Bro, it's the cops. They're on me. Who are you? Take it now. I've got two props. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
And here's 1910.
All right, action. Happy Bro, it's the cops. They're on me.
Cops? Who are you?
Take it now. I've got two props. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
So I definitely prefer 1910. I think it has more energy. The actors gave a better performance. The angle is a little more interesting. And so yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. And the next step is to find the sound clip that matches this video clip. Okay, so I found the sound file. So the way I do that is I listen to the first few seconds of the clip to find my the slate, basically. Like the slate is the marker of where the video and the sound intersect. So first, the video.
Alright, this is Crashing into Bones. Take two.
Alright, so Crashing into Bones, take two. So I go into the sound files. I have to go through, because I don't really have any way to tell the way I have with the video thumbnails, so I just kind of guess. And eventually I landed on the file. It's Mono 18.
Alright, this is Crashing into Bones. Take two.
And that's obviously it. So take the sound file out. I've set aside the video file. And then what I do next is I put the sound and the video into the selections folder. I go into the selections folder and I make sure that they are next to each other so that when I go into Final Cut, I know which sound file goes with which video file. So here I found a good example of like the kind of technical difficulty you often run into with editing. So you have this clip of his phone's going crazy. So, you know, we synced it, and
You see it.
it's like we have the sound file and we have the video file.
So if you see it, hit it again.
Notice the video file is 4 minutes long. The sound file is 1 minute long. That is not good. So we go to the end of the sound file.
Get away from me!
Alright. Let's do it over.
And the sound file just ends. Obviously the video goes on much longer. So the next step is to, you know, you check these other ones. So it's 20, that was 21, it's 22, 23, and 24 is the continuation of the file. Yes, you see 22 is 4 seconds, 23 is 2 seconds, 24 is 2:37. What does 24 sound like?
Ready?
Who are you people?
So 24 is clearly the rest of this video clip. However, it isn't synced. So from that point on, when we're at the next sound file, it will have to be synced purely by ear. Like, so I have to guess basically, instead of being able to use the sync sound, which when you see me syncing the video later in Final Cut, then you'll understand what that means. This folder selections now contains all of the clips of that scene. So, you know, they're all lined up. I actually did end up renaming the sound files to match the video files to make things easier for myself. So that whole process took about 20 minutes. And now it is time to fire up Final Cut Pro. Okay, so Final Cut Pro is now active. Everything is still left over from the first movie, or from my last editing project. So the first thing we need to do is set up an event folder. So go to new event, and the event file is basically like an event in Final Cut is a group of files that are associated with your movie. And like the event files are the clips that you choose from to create a project. So we'll name the event Star Trek STB Borough 2013. When was it? September 15. Okay, so now we have September 15th. That's our event folder. We import the files. And so we gotta go find our footage, go here, go to the selections folder, and select everything, and that's that. So now Final Cut is importing it, and I can hide the event library because the screen is very cluttered right now. I'll just put this in the window. So this is the viewing window, like where you see everything that happens in Final Cut. This is on the right side is where like the corrections and specific like little tasks and edits are made. And then over here on the left is the events folder. So yeah, this is the event, and you can see all the clips that are associated with the event. The next thing to do is to build a project. The project is the movie. So if you look down here, I'm going to new project. I'll name it Star Trek Borough. And the default event is this event that we just created. So whenever I open the project, that event will automatically be booted up, so I can easily plug them into the timeline. So now we have our project. So you see at the bottom of the screen down here, this is the timeline, and the timeline is where the movie actually happens. So the first thing we do, we take the opening shot, and So you see like the clip has the sound thing, turn the sound all the way to down to mute it. And so now we have a 1 minute long movie, which is just this clip. That's the raw footage, and we can play it. And you know, this is basically the starting point. The foundation of everything we're going to build on is it's all right here now. This brings us back to the bike messenger crashing into bones. This is clip 1910, so I'm going to find the sound file, move that into the timeline. This is the part that I hate. This is the sound syncing. So we have a flag in both the video and the audio. That is the beep that it comes from the slate. So first I want to find the beep in the audio clip, and I will cut the audio clip to start on the beep so that we can sync it. So here we go. So let's listen to the audio clip and see where the beep is.
Alright, this is Crashing Into Bones. Take 2.
Alright, that was it. So I move back to where the beep was. Press Control B to cut, and I delete the sound clip before that point. So now the sound clip is, it starts at the flag. I go to the video clip and I find the beep there.
Alright, this is Crashing Into Bones. Take 2.
And there's the beep. Instead of cutting it before that, I find the exact frame. You can see the frames here on this counter. And I go to where the beep is in the frames. So it's at 2:40:06. That's 2 minutes 40 seconds, frame 6. So I go back to the audio clip and I drag it to 2:40:06. And it is not zoomed in enough, so I need to zoom in because Final Cut wants it to be very, I don't know, it skips some of the frames, which makes no sense to me. But I can't skip frames because if you're 1 frame off, it sounds, people know, you'll know. So now I've dragged it exactly to 2:40:06, and now I test the sound to see if it sounds right, if they line up. Because if they don't line up, it sounds horrible.
Mark, take a step back.
All right, that sounds pretty well synced.
Alright, take a step forward again.
Here's what it sounds like if I have it at 2:40:08 instead of 2:40:06.
Mark, take a step back. Alright, take a step forward.
You can hear the echo because that's 2 frames off, and it completely it just ruins everything. So we'll put it back to 2:40:06, and now we're synced. The next step after the sound has been synced is just to cut off some of the dead weight, because before I say action, there's nothing useful happening here. So we're going to find the beginning of the actual useful content of the clip, and we're going to cut it there, because right now we have this huge wad of nothing. So let's see where the action begins.
All right, action.
So there's the action. So I hit Control B because I like to do everything by keyboard. You can do it using these controls, but keyboard is just easier. So I hit delete. Everything before that is gone, and what we have now is an audio and a video that are perfectly lined up. I'm going to mute the video clip now, so we only are getting the sound that was recorded externally, because the sound is much higher quality from the Zoom, from the external sound recorder. And then I go to the end of the clip, because you see the sound goes longer. It's just kind of, you record a little extra just to be safe.
Find me with it. I'm dead.
And is that where I want to stop? Alright, I'll cut it there. Delete this. Now it's all nice and tidy, and the borders are clean. After the sound is synced, the next thing that I typically do is I correct the sound, which I'm going to do. We'll have maybe a sound mixer guy to do more of this, but after the sound is ready, you go to this window, which is the window where all the nitty-gritty work happens. You click on equalization. Right now the equalization is flat. That means the sound is on a flat curve, which is how you want to record it, but that's not how you want to play it. So you open it up and you set the sound to emphasize the dialogue. So I go to all the different channels on the sound curve, and I'm just moving the curve so that it has more of a peak. And this will emphasize people's voices so that the dialogue is clearer and has more punch. And so it's a very gentle curve, but it makes a huge difference. So close out of that. This time Final Cut has no way for me to do that across all the clips. I have to do it one sound clip at a time before I start cutting, because this clip is going to be cut up into a whole bunch of little pieces. I want to do that first to the whole thing so that before it gets cut, everything is equalized. So I only have to do it once. I don't have to do it for every separate piece of it. Now for the video, you have your corrections. So the first correction I'm going to make on the video is sharpening, because just like with the audio, you want to make the corrections before you slice it up, so you don't have to make the corrections over and over and over again. So for video, I go to Blur, and I downloaded a plugin called Unsharp Mask, and I drag that over the video clip, and now the video is sharpened. And then I go to the editing window. I turn the radius down to 1.5 because that's what I like, and the amount to 2. And now it's just going to look a little bit sharper. It's not going to be easy to tell from this video, but you can turn it off and turn it back on. It makes a difference. And I'm going to close this. So now you see this yellow line over the timeline. That means Final Cut is now rendering. So it needs to take all this time to basically it's rewriting the video so that the video has the sharpening effect. Now that the sharpening has been done, the next step is color correction. So here we can see the people, and back in the corrections window, here's the color correcting tool. You have these circles, you can drag them around, and you can do all these. Like right now the color is sort of, it's just neutral, it's what the camera recorded. If you want to make it more red, you can drag it to one of these thingies over here, or you can make it more blue. There's all these different corrections. I actually think the video looks pretty correct already, the way it is. After color, you have exposure correction. So the exposure is important. Obviously, you can make this image brighter and darker. We don't want the image to be very bright because we don't want to see all this stuff in the background. So we maybe want to make it even a little darker. So let's go with -1 global. And you can make the shadow, then you have the shadow control, which is just the dark channel. So the shadows is all the dark stuff in the picture. We want the shadows to be, let's go with -2, just to make it a little darker. And the highlight control is the opposite of the shadows. Obviously, it's only the bright areas of the picture. The highlights actually, we can goose up a little bit without ruining things. It adds a little bit more dramatic look to the scene. Let's go with 10 for highlights. Now the exposure is set to do this correction, and we can look at the clip with the exposure corrected and without it. So right now we have the increased exposure.
That messed up. Okay.
Now we don't. We do. Now we don't. On. Off. On. You can see it's off. On. Off. On. You can see that it totally changes the impact of the image and the video. Okay, so here we're at the clip where the sound clip was divided between two files. So we're gonna have the audio on in the video. So you see
You're killing my
here
boss, man. Get away from me.
All right, let's do it over.
the take ends,
Boss, man. Get away from me. Is it okay if you tell?
and when the take ended, the person recording audio stopped the audio. Luckily, they resumed recording audio, so we have the rest of the file. So let's listen to what the continuing audio file is and try to find where it intersects with the video again. So I'm going to put the in when I call action, but it looks like we missed some of the. You can see how this confusing this becomes. It looks like we at least missed one take, but it's hard to say at this point. So we're going to look for when I call action again.
Boss, man.
All right, ready? Action.
Alright, there's my action. So now we are going to see what it is like to sync sound without a slate. It's not much fun, let me tell you.
Who are you people?
Wait, let me.
Do it like the more crazy, like,
Okay.
and like.
It sounds like maybe I got it exactly right on the first try, which is very rare.
Who are you people? No, it's not. Who are you people?
I don't know, you can hear the echo. Now that once I turn it, the sound up, you can hear
Who are you people?
we're slightly off by maybe a frame or two. So we're at 9:37:01. Let's try that. Let's see what that sounds like.
Who are you people?
All right, do it.
Alright, so the sound is resynced, so that's good. So we have a gap. Luckily, no takes were actually missed. And we have this big honking video clip with all this sound running under it. So we're going
You're killing my boss,
to
man.
cut it.
Get away from me.
My God, where's he gone?
We're going to cut it so it just ends nice and neat. And then the same steps. Just keep doing the same thing. Equalizing the sound. It's very repetitive, very time consuming. So likewise, the video, you can see I added the unsharp mask filter. You can see that I corrected the exposure. Just do that one clip at a time. Okay, now everything is ready. All the groundwork has been laid. The sound has been synced. You can see that everything is assembled, and the video clips and the audio clips are all, they've been equalized, they've been sharpened, they've been corrected. Everything looks and sounds the way it should sound, roughly. We have 20 minutes of footage staring at us, and this scene is probably about 1 to 2 minutes tops. So we have to take all this footage, cut it up, and turn it into an actual scene instead of a bunch of shit. I like to copy and paste into a new thing. So this part of the timeline is all of my raw footage. It's not really raw footage anymore. It's sort of like just the material that we're going to work from. And then over here, I'm actually building the movie itself. So we start out with this big clip, and obviously nobody wants to watch this for 30 seconds. So let's watch it. Yep, well, light got in the picture, so we had to bring everybody back and do it again. And we had to get a fog machine working right, and yeah, so let's just skip ahead. Alright, there's one. So this is one possible take. So that could work. I'm going to cut everything that came before that to make my life easier. Boom. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, so that's take one. Yeah, that didn't look so good. So we're taking it again. And yeah, right now it's between takes, people are talking, I'm getting things focused, and we're still polishing up the blocking. I'm not worried about Kirk's piece of his shirt because we can. Alright. So this is good right here. So watch this. We're going to start it right when that string disappears. So that's cut. So the shot starts like this. That looks pretty good. But we don't want to watch them wandering off into the set, so we're going to cut it at the end of the clip as well. So now that shot is about 3 seconds long. Next shot is the bike messenger coming out of the portal. So we're going to copy that and pop it over here. Alright, once again, we have a lot of setup happening. So is this a take right here? Now there wasn't enough fog for me there. Let's watch him do it a few times and see which one looks the best. And no, he dropped the helmet. That's not going to work. Alright, we're getting some really good fog here. That could work. I could use that. That's the first take that I would be willing to use. So we're going to cut everything before that. But let's see what else happens. That was pretty decent too. Alright, I think that was the best one so far. I'm going to cut everything before that. So you notice how we go from very long raw footage to very brief clips. So we're going to get him coming out. Cut. And we don't want to have him standing around waiting for action, so I'm going to cut it. Alright, I'll zoom in a little bit so I can get more precise. And I think I'm going to cut this shot a little earlier. So now it looks like this. And you can see it's not like perfect, but it looks a little bit like something's actually happening now. Now we have to get the crash of the bones. Alright, so this is the crash shot. So what are we looking at here?
Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Alright. The shot that I want to use is actually the second take here, so I'm going to cut everything before that, and we can still make that tighter. So you can see, right now everything looks pretty loose, loosey-goosey. He comes out of the portal, and a few, a little, that's too slow. We want it to look a lot faster. So when he comes out of the portal, we're going to cut it. So we're talking about individual frames here. Individual frames make the movie feel much, much longer, depending on, the wrong frame in the wrong place really ruins the whole thing. So he comes, boom, and then, so we're cutting at the end of the shot. We're cutting at the end of this shot and the beginning of this shot, so that they keep coming closer and closer together. And now, boom. See, now it looks like he actually crashed into him. Alright, that was a really good, that was a really good reaction from Mark Turner. We're going to cut it there. And now we go to a different angle. So this is when things start to get interesting. Like this is the part of editing that is actually interesting and fun, because as you'll see, they overlap.
If they find me with it, I'm dead. Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Cops? Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
So you can see you're getting the same scene, but from different angles, and we have to decide which angles we're going to use and when. So we're going to start cutting. We're going to start cutting around the takes and see what works.
Me with it, I'm dead.
And you can see Bones right here is way out of focus, so I'm probably not going to use that. And we can cut all this stuff in the middle, because this is us waiting for the fog to come back and all this other baloney. And, now we're setting up again for the next take.
Alright, action.
And delete all that. Alright, so now we have 3 different takes of the same piece of dialogue. So let's watch all the takes and see what they look like.
Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead. Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Cops? Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead. Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Cops? Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
So that last take was clearly the best for Priyank. But we're not, obviously we can't use just one take for the whole sequence. We have to break it up and switch back and forth. So now I'm going to just kind of play around with it and see what I like.
They're on.
Alright, I'm going to cut it there right after the crash. Now I'm going to move this in here. So it goes from the crash to...
Help me, bro. Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Okay...
They're on me.
Alright, we don't, see, for continuity, we don't want him to take off the bag too soon. So we're going to switch back to this shot.
It's the cops. They're on me.
We're going to cut. So you keep cutting in smaller and smaller and smaller slices. And shuffling them around like a deck of cards. Boom.
Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Cops? Who are you?
He says, "Cops, who are you?" Alright. I don't want, this wider shot is a lot less dynamic than the close-ups. We don't want to, that looks too much like a stage play. So as soon as he says, "Who are you?" Then we cut back.
If they find me, take it.
Cut that. see how now the video looks very smooth, but the sound isn't smooth. But what we can always do there is cut the sound around so that you don't actually hear him talking, and then it just looks like everything is smooth. But, we're not going to do that just yet, because I want to get the video first. So let's see where we're at now.
They're on me.
Who are you? Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
Alright, so we can delete all this other shit because we're not going to use it now. So we just have to figure out how to end the sequence.
I'm dead.
I really like that. So delete that.
Dead.
Alright.
If they find me with it, I'm...
If they find me with it, we're going to cut it right there.
They find me with it, I'm dead.
There you go. So we see them coming in.
Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me.
Who are you? Who are you?
Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
So moving right along, we're going to go ahead and edit the Spock and Bones argument, which is probably a little more fun. It's much more involved. So we go back to this clip of Bones discovering the brownies. This clip is 4 minutes long. And that includes the 4 minutes includes their argument. So I'm going to take the entire clip, copy it, I'm going to paste it over so we can start chopping it up. And you see on the whole entire timeline, this little sliver right here, that's our movie. That's what we have so far. So right now, let's take Bones opening the satchel and finding the wallet and throwing the wallet. Let's move it there.
I'm dead.
Oh, well, that's awkward, isn't it? We don't, he just sort of, that's what's called a jump cut, we're looking at Bones right now, like this, and suddenly he's like this, and there's nothing happening, and it looks really weird, and we didn't actually shoot anything to fill that space, which was an oversight on my part. So what I did is I took a cut of Sam just standing here looking at Mark, and I'm moving it in here. So now, it looks like he just looked at him and he's like, "What's up?" And then he's going through the bag and he's finding the wallet. When people talk about movie magic, I think about ridiculous little cuts like this, where this shot of Sam has absolutely nothing to do with anything. He's just standing there looking at Mark. He's not supposed to be doing anything, because that was between takes. But suddenly, because of the way I placed it in the timeline, it suddenly is very meaningful. Finds the wallet, throws it. Now we go to Sam. So the clip of Sam as Spock is 7.5 minutes long, which is kind of insane. Obviously, we're not going to use anywhere near that much of it. We're going to copy paste it so we can start cutting it in and using it. So let's get Sam catching the wallet. I'm going to cut that. So I cut this little slice out of it, and I'm going to drag it all the way over here. Put it there. Alright, Bones throws the wallet. Cut right there. Sam catches the wallet. We move that, slide it in like shuffling the deck of cards. Now, all right, that looks way. He looks like he's across the room. He's not that far away. Look at that. That is one slow moving wallet. Cut a little closer on this side. All right, we're gonna zoom in to do this precise. Oh, maybe I didn't cut it. All right. Let's see. Oh, look at that. It's frame by frame. While it's already in the frame, that's how it's going to go down. Now look at it. That looks much better. Much, much better. Now we can zoom back out and once again look at our tiny little clip of movie. I want to point out right now it spent about 2 hours. I started editing at about 2:45. It's now about 4:45. That's the kind of time consumption that is involved in movie editing. By contrast, when I'm writing or when I'm editing a script or something written, or I'm editing text, after about 2 hours I'm exhausted. I almost never have spent more than 2 hours at a time writing any of the novels I wrote. I would sit down to write for like an hour, 2 hours tops, and then I was done for the day. Whereas with movie editing, 2 hours is pretty much the minimum amount of time you're going to spend on any sitting. You really need more like 4 to 5 hours to to really sink your teeth into it. So here's Sam catching the wallet again.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those.
Yeah, that wasn't that smooth. I thought it looked much better the first time. Yeah, whatever.
Pocket magic is just one special kind of movie magic.
All right. Action.
Doctor,
See, he didn't catch it as well that time. He caught it. The catch was by far the best the first take. It was very Spock-like. And the angle, the arc that he throws it high, and he caught it high in that take. In the other takes, he catches it low. Okay, this is the next take coming out of Bones. So I'm going to cut all of this whole 2 minutes was just people talking. That was just nothing. So it's gone. All right, here we go. I'm cutting it just because, you just got to keep things clean.
Hey, Jim, look at this. Old-fashioned pastries.
Oh, the mic just went into the frame.
Spock, relax. They're just a dessert. Someone made these with love. Something you wouldn't know anything about.
Alright, as you can see, this take is substantially better than the previous takes. So there may be ways around the microphone poking in. We'll explore that in a minute.
You're making several assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the parcel. Take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
Damn it, I'm the doctor here, and I say they're fake.
Yeah. So that's happening.
Old-fashioned pastries.
Doctor, I would eat those.
And they smelled it.
Alright, he was interrupted, so we can't use
Delicious.
that no matter what. You can't erase that sound. So, alright, cutting that. I really like this take a lot better, so we're gonna pop that in.
Made these with love.
It's just better. This take is gone. Well, we'll see.
Look at this. Old-fashioned pastries.
One thing that we can do is do an insert. So a lot of times when I have video that looks like shit like this, or like something is wrong that I can't do anything about, you know, you just get a reaction shot or cut to somebody else. So
Composition.
here we have all these so we have this whole 8 minutes of footage of Sam standing there, so maybe we can get some more footage of him, you know, just listening, watching Spock and everything.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those.
Here we go. Watch this. Alright, I'm going to delete the sound because we don't need the sound there. I'm going to take Sam, this little video, this little thing of Sam standing there, and drag it up. I'm going to put it over the top of the timeline. So what video, like basically priority always goes above, from top to bottom. So you have this little clip of Sam standing there. Let's see, where's that microphone?
Hey, Jim, look at this. Old-fashioned pastry.
Alright, there's the microphone creeping in like a big... They always look like a dick trying to poke in. Alright, there's the microphone, the first frame that it appears. Boom. Now watch.
Look at this. Old-fashioned pastries. And they smell delicious.
Oh, isn't that interesting? It looks very natural. You're just seeing Sam, like he's sort of paying attention to Spock, and but not completely. Alright, I'm going to take a break because I can't see the video in the timeline. As you can see, it went blank. This is a quirk of Final Cut. It just randomly does this sometimes. I want to wait for it to come back because it's like I'm flying blind right now. That's how I feel. Okay. The video has reappeared, so we're back in business. Alright, I made some adjustments to the cut, so this is what it looks like now. I'm probably going to cut that and make that shorter, actually. So watch this. He catches it. We don't need to see him put it down or whatever he's doing. Catches it, and then back to Bones. We needed to see him take out the brownies.
Look at this. Old-fashioned pastries. And they smell delicious.
Alright, you see what I did there? I'm actually using different takes. This take, when he's looking at the brownies, is not the same as this take when he's eating them. Without the insert of Sam, it just looks, you know, you can tell the difference.
And they smell delicious.
That is incidentally also where the microphone made its appearance. But when you cut to Sam,
old-fashioned pastries, and they smell delicious.
Everything looks fine. Everything looks totally natural and normal, and nobody suspects a thing. So that's why they call it movie magic, is because it is a lot like what a magician does, which is sleight of hand. You're taking things that don't make sense, and you are manipulating them so that they do make sense, and you're kind of controlling what the person is seeing and what they're paying attention to, and it creates a movie in the person's mind. So now they're talking.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those.
So Spock says, "Doctor, I wouldn't eat those." We need to actually cut to Spock saying that. So let's cut. Make the cut here.
Smell delicious.
Cut that. Oh, let's find Sam saying that line. So here's one take of Sam.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea their origin or composition.
I'm just going to watch Sam doing this and pick which take I like the
You're
best.
making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
Damn it, I say this thing.
Okay, see, this is definitely going to be the next take. Get rid of all that garbage. Alright. So I'm going to keep the reaction shots in case I want to use those.
Sure, someone made these with love, and you wouldn't know anything about it.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the parcel. I say we take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
I'm the doctor, and I say they're safe.
Well, there's Matt broke, but you know it's pretty easy not to use that. This, by the way, right this moment right here. There, right there. That's one of the inserts I stole of Spock, so we're not going to use that. Alright, I'm going to move this over to the relevant scene. And I'm going to take the first take also. So we're going to see the two takes side by side and see which one I like better.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea their origin or composition.
There's one.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea of their origin or composition.
I actually like this take much better.
Eat those. We have no idea of their origin or composition.
I'm going to put this in there. There we go.
Trees. And they smell delicious.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea of their origin or composition. Doctor, I wouldn't eat those.
Spock.
Alright, so I just cut that.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea of their origin or composition.
Spock, relax. They're just a dessert. Someone made these with love. Something you wouldn't know anything about.
You're making several assumptions.
Okay, so we need to get Sal's reaction to that too.
Anything about.
Alright, I'm going to cut it there because that's sort of the peak of the funniness. As retarded as it sounds for me to say that. That's how it is. So let's get what was Sam's... Because Spock has to be sort of offended that he just dissed him about this whole like emotion. He's playing on like... He's making fun of how Spock has no emotions, which is very typical Bones Spock interplay. So let's get the best reaction from Spock.
You are making assumptions based on no information, Doctor.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
Spock, relax. They're dessert. Someone made these with love, and you wouldn't know anything about it.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor.
Oh, this is much better.
You know anything about it.
I'll put that there.
But you wouldn't know anything about it.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the parcel.
Alright, so he says something.
I say we take it back to the Enterprise for further...
He says, I say we take it back to the Enterprise for further study. I think that is sort of one of these little off-script things that comes out. And you can't say that because the doctor says, I say they're safe. So let's see if we can get a different reading from Sam.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further...
There. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor.
So watch this.
The Enterprise for further study.
Ah!
Give me the parcel. Based on no information, Doctor.
Okay, so we're going to do like the same thing that we just did before.
About.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
So, we have obviously two different takes. And what are we going to do? We're going to do an insert shot again. So let's get one of these delightful shots of Mark gobbling up this brownie. Here we go. I like this because he's sort of digging around. So check this out.
Assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the parcel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise.
So we're going to get rid of the sound because we're not going to use that. And we're going to pop this over top of Sam. So now we have, all right,
Give
Sam.
me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
Wait a second. So we're this is the clip that comes over.
Assumptions based on no information, Doctor. You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel.
And there you have it.
Based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
So now everything looks totally smooth. You have no idea that I just used completely different takes of Spock, which if you saw them side by side, it would be completely obvious. But once again, the sleight of hand, the use of inserts in this way is not only completely legitimate, it's actually encouraged because you want to get people's reactions, you want to keep cutting back and forth. You know, the camera needs to always be moving, and so it is actually, you kill two birds with one stone. So let's keep the dialogue going and, you know, watch the rest of the scene.
Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
Damn it, I say.
All right, we have to get that. Oh boy. So we're pulling this shot back.
For the study.
Damn it, I'm the doctor here, and I say they're safe.
All right, so you'll notice the sound blew out, so I'm going to lower the volume significantly, so the sound's not blown out anymore.
Damn it, I'm the doctor here, and I say they're safe.
All right, we want to cut away. We don't want to linger on him like that. So we'll get Sam's reaction again.
Say they're safe. Damn it. I say they're safe. Safe.
Boom. Super frustrated. He's like, what the hell? Okay. I'm just, yeah, not even gonna. Alright, and then we get to watch him munching and doing his thing. Meanwhile, then there's the dialogue with Kirk. So it's now 6 o'clock. Another hour and a half or so has passed. And I've been continuing to just build the scene out and make the same choices that I've been demonstrating. So now we have a very, very rough cut, very rough edit of the opening scene. So this is what it looks like when with all like the shots assembled together. So you can see. So obviously it's very rough.
Help me, bro. It's the cops. They're on me. Who are you? Take it, man. I've got 2 priors. If they find me with it, I'm dead.
Hey, Jim, look at this. Old-fashioned pastries. And they smell delicious.
Doctor, I wouldn't eat those. We have no idea of their origin or composition.
Spock, relax. They're just a dessert. Someone made these with love. Something you wouldn't know anything about.
You're making assumptions based on no information, Doctor. Give me the satchel. We'll take it back to the Enterprise for further study.
Damn it, I'm the doctor here, and I say they're safe.
Captain, the temporal readings appear to be coming from that door.
Who are you people?
Doctor, get a hold of yourself. You've been poisoned.
I'm not poisoned. Everything's fine. I haven't done anything wrong, damn it.
He appears to have ingested a highly psychotropic substance. I say we take him back to the ship for further examination. Spock to Enterprise.
You're killing my boss, man. Get away from me.
My God, where's he gone?
Captain, when the Doctor went through that door, he went back in time and altered the course of history. Beyond this planet, nothing exists as we know it.
We'll have to follow him back in time. It's our only chance to set things right, Mr. Spock.
Agreed.
There you go. So, yeah, the sound is all over the place. Polishing up the sound is generally the last step. You know, the edits could be smoother and tighter a lot in this scene, but you get the idea of the sequence as a whole and like the way that it now all fits together. Now, one last note, we started with 20 minutes and now we have about 2 minutes. Yeah, when you boil it all down, you want to get it shorter and shorter and shorter and just keep cutting until people don't notice. It's basically what you want, is so people don't see the filmmaking and they don't see the editing. That's why you keep making it more and more efficient, because what people see is inefficient. So that's it.